Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. It is Thursday, so we are talking Turner syndrome. So this week I want to talk about Turner syndrome and sensory issues. There is also a trend of sensory issues being common in women, girls with Turner syndrome, where you are sensitive to all things sensory. And this can look like a lot of different things. It's going to be different for everybody, just like everything else that has to do with Turner syndrome. But there's kind of two big categories of it that I feel like can happen. One is you actually have a sensory disorder, so a sensory sensitivity disorder or autism is very common with girls with Turner syndrome as well. It is one of the coexisting conditions that can be possible. It is by no means automatically assumed in any way, but it is one of the coexisting conditions that can happen, and that I've heard more and more stories of that being a coexisting condition. And obviously autism comes with its whole other range of things. One of them is sensory sensitivity, and that is just one of those things that comes with autism. The other category would be just sensory sensitivity. You're just more sensitive to that. Not necessarily a diagnosed disorder, but you're just more sensitive to it. Sensory sensitivity can look like a lot of different things. It can look like sensitivity to light, sensitivity to sound, and different reactions to those. So sensitivity to light is kind of an obvious one. You are just sensitive to light. Sensitivity to sound is more the one that I feel like I want to talk about, because that's the one that I actually feel like I have any kind of experience with. I have my moments of being sensitive to sound, where it is just too loud and it's overwhelming and gives me anxiety. Depending on the noise, depending on how loud, I can be kind of sensitive to it and feel overwhelmed by it. A lot of times, I quickly get over it. There are some times where I need to take a minute and take a break from it before I can calm down and not feel overwhelmed anymore. It is not something I've hyper struggled with at all, but I have noticed I do have my moments of that, and I feel like that can be pretty common. So that's just something I wanted to touch on. Now, if that's going on, there are a lot of different things you can try to do. If it brings on anxiety, it kind of does for me. Everything I've ever talked about with me and my anxiousness applies. Oils, prayer, breathing, taking a break, and just stepping aside for a second, taking some deep breaths. All are great in those moments of feeling overwhelmed. Also, being able to gauge yourself and know, is this starting to become overwhelming? Do I need to step to the side for a second? Am I able to just make a change so it's not to that overwhelming level right now? What's the situation? And that can be something that you kind of just have to learn yourself. The other thing is anticipating scenarios where that might happen and being prepared for it. So a lot of times sensory issues are most commonly heightened in major social situations. So out in public, out in groups, that's going to be where it hits you the hardest usually. And being aware of that, being prepared for that. And for parents of little ones that have sensory issues, they are more and more creating in different places, times, or spaces, or days where it is sensory sensitive. So it's not going to be like normal where it's the mad crazy rush of a public place. There's going to be lower lights, quieter noise, and is more comfortable for kids that have sensory issues. So knowing in your local area where those places are, knowing the times and dates and all of that can be really helpful too, so that your child can experience all of that as well. They don't miss out on the fun, and also aren't shoved into a situation where they feel so overwhelmed and uncomfortable. And I think that's kind of just a part of it, of learning yourself and learning what works and finding tools and resources. So I wanted to touch on this because I feel like that goes into the being a highly sensitive person thing. When I talked about tips for being a highly sensitive person, that was something I mentioned. That I feel like it's not just feeling all the feels. I feel like it's just experiencing life turned way up, where everything feels so much bigger. Everything feels so much louder. You feel like you're experiencing it so much greater, and it has a deeper impact. So that's why I feel like I notice all of the little things, all of the little tiny details. That's why I feel like I get caught up on all of those. That is why I feel like I get just so easily overwhelmed by all the things. So, yeah. I've not had much sensory issues besides like being sensitive to noise at times. Although, I have to say, that also I feel like comes with just normal anxiousness. I don't know, maybe that's just me. But, there we go. That is that. And I hope this was helpful. I myself don't have a ton of experience with it, like I said, so I will put resources in the comments below. Make sure you check them out. If you have any you would like to share, any resources, any tips, any stories, experiences, thoughts, comments, leave them in the comments below, and we can have that discussion. I hope you enjoyed this and it was helpful. If you did and it was, give it a thumbs up. Make sure you share it and are subscribed, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye!